Nobody could know what I'm doing, or nobody could know what I'm saying. If they really knew me, they really wouldn't love me.
Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Between the Walls podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Jess.
And I'm Jonathan, and we are the Wallaces.
Yes, we are. I know I was supposed to do the accent.
Thing.
I know I was supposed to do the accent because I was doing an English accent before we started, but I got nervous. Let me tell you something. Because of the Parent Trap, I learned how to do an English accent. Is it British? It's not English.
Same thing.
Okay, but people do say British. A British accent, and I think I have it down. But when someone tells me to do it, then I start fumbling.
No, it's perfect. It's really, really good.
No, I remember when I was watching Love Island UK, and you know how it's like 100 episodes?
Yeah.
I was watching it back to back to back, and the accent started attaching onto me because I think you know this, like the way people talk attaches to me sometimes.
I mean, that happens to most people, though.
Yeah, and then a guy came here to do some maintenance or something, and I was talking to him. He goes, "Where are you from?" And at that moment, I knew. I was like, "Oh, shut up, Jessica."
Did you sound? Were you in the Irish one or the British, the regular?
Probably the British. The Irish one I haven't gotten down yet. We're still working on that. Hey, you guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
We
you know
did,
where that's
though.
from? You know where that's from?
No.
The Kardashians, but it's okay.
There was a time though, like when I was in undergrad, like my first year at school, that like I started watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Entertaining,
And
kind
I'm
of,
like,
right?
why is this so entertaining?
Low key.
But then it ended there. I didn't watch it anymore.
No, Jonathan showed me this clip the other day of the girls fighting.
Yeah?
It's funny.
That's what you wanted to say? I thought you were going somewhere with that.
No, nowhere.
It's like,
it was
they're
just like,
fighting.
It was like what's her name? Kelly? No. Who? Kim. Kim and Courtney were like trying to punch each other or scratch. She's like, "Don't you hit me." I don't know. Anyways, I used to love stuff like that. In my toxic era.
That was right up your alley?
Yeah, right up my alley. I think they're a little more calm now, but I've kind of just grown out.
They're
like
very
full
grown.
adults now with like four children
y'all in your
each.
40s. Y'all in your 40s.
Yeah, I'm kind of. No, I'm not out of my reality TV. Never mind, because Netflix, they drew me back in a little bit, but.
Let us know if you want us to comment on the ultimatum.
The ultimatum. No, you guys, we have to.
We might make an episode on
whether
that
you want
next.
to or not. I'm sorry. I know we're late, but we weren't really gonna watch it because we watched the first season together, right? Of the ultimatum.
No, it happened during my bachelor party time. So like, the boys had it on.
Oh, I guess I
watched.
I thought we watched it together. Anyways, we watched it separately. The first season kind of fell off. First season was a little entertaining. Fell off. What is it? Season 4 or 5?
I think it's 3. But still.
Oh, see, I have no idea. But everyone's like, you gotta watch it. And I'm like, bro, the show's so stupid. Man, we was hooked. We were on the couch New Year's Day.
No, but it's stupid.
No, it is stupid.
It's definitely stupid.
My jaw was on the floor for majority of the season. Yeah. Yeah, Happy New Year, you guys.
Happy New Year. Wow, yeah. It is.
I know.
You know, people were saying Happy New Year. It was like January 3rd. I'm like, bro, why do people keep saying that? And I'm like, oh, the New Year was just 2 days ago.
Have you been writing 2024 on your papers, or do you write 2025?
Nah, I write 25.
Good. I haven't had to write it because I work from home. What you guys have missed, the last time we talked, what was it, early December? Was it before our New Orleans trip or after?
December. It was definitely after. It was like only right before Christmas.
Oh, okay. So we haven't really been gone that long.
Like, I'm like 3-ish, 4-ish.
I feel like we needed that. Well, I needed it personally.
Just
I feel like
batteries
Jonathan could
have recharged.
Yeah, but I feel like Jonathan probably could have just went straight through.
No, I started feeling it a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that like when we're not doing the podcast, we spend like much more quality time together. And I have just been loving it because, you know, when we are doing the podcast, when Jonathan is home, because he does have a full-time job, he's a physical therapist. But when he is home, that's his time to, you know, our time to record or his time to edit and stuff, or we're talking about like the next one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want my man. I want to talk about this podcast. So the past few weeks, this is really nice. But we're back and we're grateful to be back because I love the podcast. I've been listening. I'm chatting away.
Talk.
I'm so sorry. I have been listening to the podcast at the gym because at the gym, I listen to podcasts. I don't listen to music. I just listen to podcasts. And I was like, you know what? Let me hear what ours sounds like without the visuals. And I actually like it so much better. But I did learn a few things that I want to improve on. I feel like a lot of times I won't finish my sentence or my thought. And someone who doesn't know me or isn't watching can just be like, what the heck was she even talking about? So I feel like I took some pointers on myself. So yeah, but I enjoy the podcast audibly more than I do watching it. So I don't know. I like this podcast. I think it's pretty good. While I'm here, I'm just taking over. Jonathan's going to come in soon.
Am I? I don't know.
While I'm here, you guys, something that we don't usually say that I think we should is please like this video, subscribe to our channel. Thank you guys so much for 10,000 subscribers.
Man, that was a huge Christmas gift.
We literally found out on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so nice because we've been like trying to work our way up to 10K, and I was like, I don't know if we're gonna hit it before the year ends.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. But you guys really supported that last video a whole lot.
Thank you guys so much. And with the Spotify playlists and things, we're like a number one on a few people.
Yeah, on a few people's. Like, we're in like definitely the top 5 and the number 1 for a few, but still.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We just want to say thank you so much. I'm not even gonna lie. We've been doing this for not a year, but I think we started in like April.
Yeah, almost a year.
Or April. Yeah. We haven't necessarily made 1 cent. So we don't do this for the money. Like, we haven't physically made any money yet, technically. Yeah. We haven't cashed out not a dime. So it's not like we're doing this for money or clout. Like, we genuinely just have a great time. And I just think it's really fun. And, you know, someone commented in our last video, like, now I see why Jessica hates those dogs because I can hear them in the podcast as well. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, those dogs are the reason I will never have a dog.
Yeah, they ruined it for me. Like, I couldn't even get a dog because I don't want the competition, the back and forth of our dog barking at their dog. I wouldn't be able to. But we're thinking of some other options, but we'll keep you guys posted.
I was going to say.
We're going to keep y'all posted.
I want, whatever.
All right, fine. Okay, fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, or you just get like, it's like an update. Yeah. Over the break, we almost got a cat.
Okay, yeah, we almost got a cat. I named him. I'm not going to tell you what his name is because I might transfer his name to the next cat, which is crazy. Horrible. I know it's horrible. Crazy. But I just really, we always had like some cute names that we would possibly use. I wanted to name our cat Chandler at first. Because I love the show Friends, and I was like, Chandler is such a cute name for a cat. But then last minute, I saw this cat, and this name popped in my head. I'm like, that is your name. And now I'm like, that's the cutest name for a cat. If it's not you, it's going to be somebody else. So that's the name we're having for a cat, girl or boy. So.
Okay. Any other life updates that we want to give them?
I turned 33. I had a birthday.
Woo!
Yeah. My husband, he like planned a 4-day birthday extravaganza for me, but like it wasn't anything crazy, but it was literally like tailored perfectly for me. It was just very special, and I didn't really make a big deal out of my birthday this year. Like, I guess social media wise, I didn't really do a post. The past few years, I've taken like photo shoots or whatever. Even though I did buy something to wear I was gonna do a photo shoot like on the stairs. I got like black PJs with like fluffy things on the arms and the legs just to like zhuzh it up a little bit. But I think the holidays like wore me out so much that I was like, who cares, girl? Like, whatever. And I didn't really post that it was my birthday until like 9 p.m. because although you guys know I love you guys to death, it can just be very overwhelming saying thank you to 100 people the day of your birthday while you're trying to enjoy. So I thought I was slick posting it later, and I'm like, okay, I'll respond tomorrow. And then tomorrow it wasn't my birthday, so then I really didn't care. So I was like, big overall. Thank you, everyone. So thank you guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, her birthday was up, but what was also up was the scale, because after the month of December, I stepped on the scale the day after Jess's birthday, because that's when the New Year starts in the Wallace
January
household.
6th.
January 6th, the New Year starts. And I was flabbergasted.
I was too at
I
mine.
was gobsmacked. I was like, I have never seen such a number before.
Same.
And I think the reason why I didn't even realize what was happening was because usually you look at yourself, you can see your front and you can see your side. So for me, I can see my front, I can see my side, and it's a little bigger, but it's no big deal. But I had just take pictures of me, and when I tell you, when we got to the back, when we talk about the spreading of the back and the bigging of the back, my back was big. I was looking at the picture, I was like, hey, yo. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're locked in right now.
We're locked in. We're both at our heaviest that we've ever been. But this is the first time that I really feel like I'm going to stick to the plan. I usually don't stick to a workout or eating plan for longer than 2 weeks. And it's only been 4 days. But I feel really encouraged on this one. So I really think I'm going to stick to it this time because I literally just can't, like 5 more pounds and then I'm at a weight that did you see the thing I sent you on Instagram?
No, I'm not on right now.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Anyways, we're going to stick to it this time. You're going to hold us to it. In 3 months, you're going to see our faces are smaller. Our backs are bigger. I'm not going to have to sit with a pillow anymore. The reason why I sit with this pillow is because I'm hiding my insecurities. But yeah. We also saw Mufasa while we were over the break.
It was okay.
I just today, for my girls out there, I just maybe like an hour ago showed Jonathan the Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa video from the Jennifer Hudson show. And
yeah, I don't know. Well, what do you want me to say about that?
no, you don't have to say anything. The girls, I'm looking at the girls.
Oh, about that he's handsome?
Yeah.
You're not even really into light skins like that, though.
I'm not. I think it was more, I think it's
He's
like
so handsome.
his swag. No, and he actually looks a little
handsome.
scary. People say that he looks like Scar. People are telling me he looks like Scar. Because like Scar like kind of looks scary, but like, you know, it's kind of like, you got a little mystery to you, but it's like light skin with blue eyes. I'm like, what? Sure, go ahead, go for it. But I have eyes for my man. You know what I'm saying? Up top.
All right.
Okay. Wait, one more thing.
Okay.
I asked you earlier, but I asked you not to tell me. Do you have your word for the year?
No, I don't. But I do have a word for January.
Okay.
The word for January is consecration.
Okay. I like that.
It's like really trying to be intentional about the content I'm consuming, the things that I'm doing, food I'm putting in, fasting as well. Never really fasted well before, I don't think. But I heard a sermon
Oh, we're ready to filth, y'all.
a few days ago by like Philip Anthony Mitchell, and like it really helped me understand like the importance of fasting. And I've heard sermons on fasting before, but like not on like why it's important. Usually I've heard you fast to get closer to God, but I'm like, I don't know what me being hungry has to do with me being closer to God. But now it's like more of an understanding of you fast because it's starving the flesh of the thing that it desires the most, to remind yourself that the flesh doesn't rule you, that it's Christ that rules you. So by if you can not eat, how much easier is it to not gossip?
Yeah.
Or how much more strength will you have to not watch porn? Or it's funny I said porn. We're gonna talk about that later. But yeah. So I think that's super. I think that was super cool for me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. It's also kind of like goes along with self-control. It's like a self-control type of lesson, or lesson's not the word I'm looking for, but that'll strengthen your self-control as well.
How about yourself?
So for me, it's not a word, it's more of a phrase. So my phrase for this year it's like Nike vibes, like just do it. So there's been a lot of things that I have been afraid to do because I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough, or I'm not good enough, or like I'm worried about failing, or even like simple things. Like I was telling Jonathan this morning, like our church is doing a fast soon, and we decided to start a little bit earlier because for whatever reason. I don't know why I say things like that. That was a part of what I was saying in the podcast. I don't finish because we're going on a cruise. Like, why am I, for whatever reason. You know what? I didn't even have an Alani and I'm up. But I want to shout out my friend Cha-Cha. She watches the podcast, right? And she made me think about something, though, because she's been trying to, like, get together with me to go to lunch or, like, just talk or hang out or whatever. And she was like, girl, I don't watch one of your podcasts. And, like, I feel like when we get to lunch, you don't even got to say nothing. I know everything about you already. She's like, now it's just my turn to talk. And I'm like, dang, man, I'm going to be more mysterious this year. I'm like, everybody know all my business, bro. I mean, it's too late.
That has to do with your just do it, or you're just talking?
Sorry. I don't know how I got there. I'm sorry, you guys. We haven't talked in a while on the podcast.
Jess has a lot to get out.
So many thoughts and ideas. So back to just do it. It could be for big things, but even for the small things. Like this morning I was telling Jonathan, I'm in a spiritual funk. Like I don't feel like getting up to read my Bible. I don't really care to do a fast right now or whatever, but it's like, girl, just pick up your Bible and read, because the feelings will come after. Or maybe they won't, but like, just go. Same with like the gym. I don't feel like going, just do it, girl. Like just go. So all this second guessing that I have has held me back a lot. Like even with the small things, like I said, the gym. When I wake up in the morning, get up and go. Don't like, oh man, well actually and then you just start. It's like downward spiral.
Something I just thought of is, how has doing what you wanted worked for you so far? It's like, you think about like, oh, I didn't feel like doing it. It's like, how is like doing what you felt like it
Right.
worked for you so
Like
far?
that
Like,
extra hour of TikTok. Did that get you where you wanted to be?
like, do you like
No.
do you like the results of where you're at right now?
Right. That's
And
good.
it's like,
Yeah.
I do not.
Right. Yeah. So we're just going to just do it, the good things. And I felt even the first few days of January, what's today, the 9th, that I have been like convicted like 4 times already of things that on me with being obedient, of things that God has told me to do, of me like standing in the back because I'm afraid that I'm not good enough to lead this or do that. And I feel like, you know what? You just do it and God will equip you with the rest.
That's good.
If I'm called to it, which I believe that I am. So just do it. That's where I'm at right now.
Shout out to Nike.
Yeah, man. Sponsor us. All right. What do you got for us today, babe?
Well, recently in Florida, I'll start like this way. Recently in Florida, we instituted, the state of Florida, a porn ban for people below the age of 18. So you will not have to upload your ID to the porn site
That's crazy. But
in order to watch it to prove that you're above the age of 18. And some of the sites didn't like that. They decided to jump out of Florida. Good.
Fine by me.
Fine by me. So I don't always agree with what the state of Florida decides to do, but this is one of those things I feel like talking about it and talking about porn in general, because it was one of my strongholds for a large portion of my life. And I feel like churches and Christian people don't talk about it enough, and I believe that there's freedom for us. But I think that this ban is actually a very, very good thing. So I just thought that it could be like the segue for us to talk about like the history with it and how to move forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking when you said, I didn't really know that they had to like upload a picture of their ID. And I feel like this is going to sound weird, like most things that I say, but it just kind of made me think of like, say you're doing something you know you're not supposed to be doing. Like you're about to have sex, but you're married and you're about to cheat on your wife. Or you're a Christian, you're not supposed to have sex. And the girl's like, can you get the condom? So you have like another second to feel like, dang, I really shouldn't be doing this. The conviction, like you get another chance to feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this. And I mean, some people will still follow along. You know, I've been there, done that. But like, I like that you get one more chance to be like, there's one more step. And it's also giving you another step to think, do I need to be on this site? Yes or no? And I cannot imagine people being like, oh yeah, uploading it to the TV. I mean, to the computer. And then like, it's just weird. Like,
But I love it for especially, I mean, there are going to be some kids that just take their parents' ID.
Yeah, you can take any ID.
Well, it has to be over 18.
Yeah, but like you can go in your room, get your sister's ID if she's 19. And
Yeah. Like there are going to be people that do it, but I think that extra step is so important, especially for those at a young age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and well, even for those at an older age, because like you know how data breaches all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want your name on the data leak of the porn
Yikes,
site?
bro. People are going to be exposed. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but
Is it unfortunate? Whatever.
I mean, it's unfortunate. You don't want your data leaked, but
Well, yeah.
I'm thinking about me being a kid. Like for me, I discovered porn at 12 years old. I think I had a friend of mine that told me, it's like, yo, there's this site. Like, don't go on it. Like, I went onto it on accident. But I was like...
Bro, don't tell me about it then.
I'm like, well, what's the site?
Yeah.
And they told me, but they're like, don't go on it, though.
Yeah, like, yeah, for sure.
So I definitely went on it. But I
Of
went on it
course.
on, like, the computer, like a laptop that was at my house. And when I saw what it was like sex games. It was like, like how computers have, like, computer games? Like, it was like that, but it was like sex stuff. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be on here. And then at that time, I was super, like, nervous because my dad had told me, he's like, anything you look at on the internet here, like, I can see it. Right? So then I was like, oh, no, I got to get off of here. But once that was open to me or that was exposed, it was like, I don't know, discovering a drug or something that I, like, felt like I just needed to keep coming back. And then especially once I realized that if you hit delete the search history, no one's gonna know.
Right.
Who's gonna know?
Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know.
How would they know?
So then I was stuck at that point from there.
Did you, at that age where you said you were 12,
Yeah.
did you have you had a girlfriend yet, or like any girl that you were like interested in? Like,
Yeah.
like, so feelings have been sparked before, but not
Yeah.
like feelings like that. Like,
Yeah.
you hadn't done any, like, not to put
Nothing
you
crazy,
out, but
nothing like that.
right. Okay.
But it had been like, you know, maybe kiss somebody before, or
My first
like
kiss was at 12. That's 6th grade, right?
7th grade,
Oh, anyway.
6th, 7th grade. I think
Yeah.
it's 6th, 7th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like you know you've kissed a girl before, you felt the butterflies, you felt the feelings, but it's like this is like a whole other.
It's elevated.
It's
Yeah.
elevated for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that changed everything for me. I think that so many of the problems that I had in life came from being stuck on porn. Like whether it's the way I was never sure of myself, the way I, you know, oftentimes like use women. Sounds aggressive, but
Yeah, I think that sounds a little aggressive.
it wasn't
I feel
that.
like you need to paint more of a picture for people who don't know you if you're going to say something
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I would like end up talking to girls in a way that in the secular world is like not wrong at all. But the moment like anything would happen, like say it was sexually or whatnot, I would become so incredibly ashamed when they call it what's it called, PNC, post nut clarity.
Oh, okay. It's fine.
I might take that out. But it, like after everything is done, you know, just feeling incredible shame. So it's like yo-yoing. So it's wooing girls in, being like super charming, being super nice.
Yeah.
Then after whatever was done, not like get out of here, but it's like feeling of incredible shame. Like I can't live with myself. So there are many portions of my life that I didn't like myself at all, and I think it all started there.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be mostly your story because, and not that I'm better than anybody, but I never really struggled with porn at all. So I don't really like know what the feelings are like or what that, like how the addiction calls to you. I mean, I can feel that with sweets or something, but I know it's probably not to that same level. So I'm here to hear you.
Okay. All right. So I feel like probably the best way is to walk through the testimony of it, I guess, and then ask questions as you see fit. But I think that from that moment, I struggled with it on and off, trying to be on it, like trying not to, whatever. But by the time I got to the age of 2012, 15-ish, that's when I really dedicated my life to Jesus. So like I had a moment with Jesus and I really dedicated my life to him. And at that point I started leading a youth group.
I remember that.
So like my church didn't have a youth group. So I was like, let's just do something. Let's just do like a small group. And like it ended up being bigger than a small group, but not like, it wasn't huge, but like still like 20 to 30 people at my parents' house. Like
Shout out to your church for allowing you to do that at that age. Because I know some churches would be like, absolutely not.
well, there are pros and cons.
Well, I'm sure. So yeah, I'll let you finish before
The pros and cons. But I think
anyway.
one of the things is that I didn't really have people to talk to about things that I had struggled with, because in my age group, like there was my age group, and then there was a lot older of an age group. Like there wasn't people that I think could have been like a layer right above me that could really help me.
Yeah.
So I felt alone. Especially since at that time I cared more about Jesus and trying to please him than my friends did.
Yeah.
Like my friends, I mean, they did, but like not like they're just kids.
You've always had like a call on you, like a tug.
Well, since that moment, since like 15, 16.
Oh. Well, that's when I met you, so I don't really know.
Yeah, so like I had that, but I was still struggling with porn, you know, feeling incredibly ashamed. And feeling like, man, if anybody really knew me, they wouldn't like me. They wouldn't love me. They would turn on me. I had a feeling everyone would turn on me. So I was too afraid to talk to anybody about it. But all the while still trying to battle on my own, like just don't do it. Willpower, don't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You get a couple days in and then you fall again. So what ended up happening was I ended up in a situation with this one girl that it was the first time I had sex.
When you lost your virginity.
Yes, right. And a month after that, she texted me telling me that she hadn't gotten her period yet. So it was like the day before my grandfather's funeral, and I'm like at his house on the floor, like crying. I'm like, Jesus, if you get me through
At
this.
your grandfather's house?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you get me through this, I'll never do anything again.
Did you talk to anybody? I'm sorry that I keep waiting, but did you talk to anybody about this while it was happening?
Yeah, I talked to my cousin.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and he helped calm me down a little bit. But like that was something like I gotta tell somebody.
Yeah. You can't eat that
But
alone.
I was like,
That's a lot to carry on your own.
so everybody probably thought I was really sad about my grandfather, which I was. But this was
It's a lot.
it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. I'm only tell the story to say that at his funeral, people kept coming up to me, and saying, well, one, how great of a person my grandfather was, because he really was. That the camp that I got saved at, Jess got saved at, like hundreds of other people got saved at. He started that camp over 40 years ago. Well, about 40 years ago now.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Yeah, so he had impacted so many different people's lives over so many generations. So there were like hundreds of people at his funeral. I think over 600 people were at his funeral.
Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, so people kept coming up to me and being like, yo, your family legacy is amazing. My kids look up to you, and all this stuff. It just was a lot, especially dealing with this girl saying that she hadn't gotten her.
That's a nightmare.
No, it really was a nightmare. And she ended up telling me at the end of the day that she did get it. But that moment, I think, left a profound impact on me and scarred me, because that's when I really felt like you can't tell anybody about the stuff you're struggling with or going through, because like, look how many people you'd be letting down. So I think from that point, porn was just like influencing how I thought about everything. It made me feel like I needed to hide, needed to be secretive, and like just struggling with it silently.
Yeah, and that's what sin does. I mean, it makes you want to hide. It makes you want to isolate, because when you tell people about things, when you're in the light, people can help you to get out of things. And when you hide and you feel shame, and you're like, I can't tell anyone, like, but it's just easier to keep doing because nobody knows. Not that you want to do it, but nobody knows. I'm struggling. I'm just gonna keep struggling.
Yeah, keep this
on my
image,
own.
keep this image up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so demonic. You know, the way it makes you, the way it twists your mind, the way it twists your brain, especially from a young age. Like, I think it's evil. Anyways, hopping back into the story, it just kept playing out with other women in the future. Not necessarily having sex, but you know, going further than I should be going. You know, just living life and trying to be good, but starting to talk to people, and then as soon as you start talking to them and like pushing it in a different way, and you know, before you know it, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't do it again. But it's like, how many we can't do that again can you give before it's like you kind of feel like you're living a double life, and you feel like you're dual minded. And I think that was probably the source for me, and never being sure about anything, always feeling up and down, like just so confused. Like I feel like I was confused a lot.
So I think that preachers' kids have like a bad rap, because I know that they say like preachers' kids are the worst, or like people on the praise team are the worst. Anyone who's involved in church, like on stage, no, don't trust them. You go to church, they're the worst. And this is not an excuse for preachers' kids to just do whatever they want. But I feel like sometimes you have to understand that if the enemy can't get to the pastor, like my dad or your dad, they're going to go through their children, because they have to put the poison in somewhere, or like break the family down in one way or another. And I was just saying, like, I feel like you had a call in your life from early when you started the youth group at 15. Like, you were a counselor at camp at 15 also. Or was it 16 or 15? 16. Like, at the time, I think you were one of the youngest male counselors.
Yeah,
was
for
it
sure.
At the time? He was like the youngest male counselor. And I feel like the enemy just knew, like, I have to stop him, like, because there's a call. And I know, like, every time I tell you, like, there's a call in your life, I feel like you've gotten better at accepting it before you're like, do like the
There is, but I think I do the thing, because you say you have a call to be a pastor, when I don't necessarily.
Yeah, I don't add that part. There's a call in your life. I mean, there's a call in. Is there a call in everyone's life?
God has something to do for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like you have a very specific call. And I feel like the enemy is going to do whatever he can. And I guess I'm nervous for my children now, because it's going to try to get to you through our children. But I mean, we'll do the best we can. But I feel like, I just wanted to add that part.
I think the biggest thing for me was the expectation. I think I was crippled by expectation, whether it was others' expectations of me or my expectations of myself. But the expectations of me were because I was doing things for the kingdom. And I definitely expected more from myself than I think others expected of me.
Yeah.
So that was where a lot of the self shame came. And I'm gonna fast forward a good amount. So I think I got to the point in my life. This is maybe around the time where we started dating. I think it came to a head where like I just been struggling for so long, and by that point I had tried to get an accountability partner, but not really. It's like telling somebody, "Oh, I'm struggling," they'd be like, "It's tough, bro. It's okay.
Right,
God,
yeah.
Jesus loves you," and that is good, and you do need to hear that. But like, it still wasn't sinking deep. I think what one of the things that really broke it was, I'm gonna actually backtrack again, but right before we started dating, and so I was talking to somebody else, and the same problems with you popped up in that relationship as well. And then that's when I realized, oh, I'm the problem. And once I realized I was the problem, when I started going to therapy, a lot of it was realizing through therapy that what started with porn was the feeling like nobody could know what I'm doing, or nobody could know what I'm saying. If they really knew me, they really wouldn't love me. And I think that started with the porn seed. And what it made me do with women in general is that I felt like if somebody saw me in a sexual manner, because when you're in a sexual manner, they're seeing you naked,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that nakedness and being praised in any way that way. It's like, oh, I think subconsciously I was like, oh, they're seeing me and they're affirming me. So that's the itch that I was scratching rather than getting my validation from God. So I think I started to work that out through therapy. And then from that point, wanted to get serious about, killing the porn thing. But I started seeing victory more and more when I said, I don't care if this makes my life uncomfortable. Like, more than I want to be comfortable, more than I want to seem normal to everybody, I want to be holy over everything else. And I think for many people, you kind of have to get to that place where it's like, it might be embarrassing to tell somebody that I need a lot of help,
Yeah.
or it might be hard. But how much do you want to be living like Jesus? Sexual sin is one of the one things that God tells you to flee from. Like,
Yeah.
you have to get it
Run away
out.
as fast as you can.
And then, like, if your left hand causes you to sin, cut it off.
Yeah.
If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. Obviously not literally,
Right.
because your eye is not causing you to
Right.
sin, right? But how serious do you want to be about it? And I think at that point, I had started giving my dad the password to the screen time on my iPhone. So with the screen time, you can limit adult sites, you can block adult sites, you can do all this stuff. But like, if you set the password for yourself, when you're ready to use it, you're just gonna
9932. Plug that thing in.
Yeah, you're just gonna plug the password in. But with that extra layer of protection to like my father, like, I'd have to go ask him to unlock it. So say if they block the site that isn't necessarily bad, he'd be like, "What? Like, why do you need the password?" And I'd have to explain to him why I'm using the password. So I don't think at one point I ever, asked him to open it. When Jess has the password now too, I never asked either one of them to open it for that reason.
Yeah.
It's just that extra layer of protection.
Well, can I ask you a question really quick?
Go ahead.
How was your dad? Because obviously you had to entrust in him or like be vulnerable with him to let him know, like, this is what I'm struggling with. How was he when you told him about it?
I still had some shame. So I told him, like, hey, I just want to block some things off my phone. But I didn't say, like,
What
it's
exactly?
porn.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Hey,
watch
Dad. Say that.
I just want to block things off my phone. I just want to give you the password. So like, that's all I said. But I think it was enough for him to probably just infer what was happening. And and by that point I'd had some conversations with him, and he knew pretty much things that were going on in my life. But from there, like, anytime I would find a loophole, because when you're in the throes of it, you find loopholes. And I think that every time I found a loophole, I'd go to my dad the next day. We're gonna close this loophole. Like, we're gonna add it to the block list. We're gonna add that to the block list. Like, anytime that I would slip up, I wouldn't be like, oh, that was just one time, it won't happen again. I feel like when I got serious about it, it's like, all right, how can we cut this off as well? And even to that, like, I wasn't perfect, but like I started getting victory and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
For real. And that led up to, I think, when we got married. And when we got married, I was like pretty good at, like, there was like almost no slip ups. I was doing great. Till the one time
I went away for the weekend.
just went away.
Like my first time going away since we were married.
Yeah, since we were married. And it's kind of like when you like feel something coming up, it's like, oh my gosh. No, it's gonna like, so like you start like panicking, and like the thing you're panicking about happens because you're panicking so much about it. And I think that the final nail in the coffin, I won't say final, but the nail in the coffin at that point was seeing how I already knew how it impacted God. I knew how it I kind of knew how it impacted God. I knew how it impacted me. But seeing how when I told Jess when she came back, because God didn't allow me to be like, okay, you're just gonna hold this on your own.
Yeah,
like,
no.
no, it's like when she comes back, you're gonna tell her. And when I had to tell her, seeing how it impacted her and how it broke her heart, and to see like if it broke her heart that much, how much more is it breaking God's heart? I think that was one of the things that really made it like, it's just not worth it. Like, it's really just not worth it. And, you know, it's been maybe one other time since that moment, but I think God's really provided some deliverance for me. But I think I'm seeing the light in the end of the tunnel, but I feel like I've been in a place where I've gotten complacent so many times that I never think I'm going to be like, oh, I'm 100% delivered, or like where like it's like I would never ever do that again. I am working to never do it again, but knowing that I'm weak, I think keeps me tethered to Christ in a lot of ways.
You don't want to get too ahead of yourself.
100%. There's so many times, and this podcast is a lot of me talking.
It's okay.
There are many times I prayed for deliverance. I prayed for breakthrough. Like, God, do it miraculously, do it all right now, do it here and now, make me never even want it again. And God sometimes does work that way, but that's not how he was working in this situation. It was a much more gradual process for me, and I think that keeps me tethered to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like Paul talked about the thorn in his flesh.
I was gonna ask you about
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
100%. He talks about the thorn in his flesh. Like, he asked God many times to take it away. We don't know what Paul's thorn was. Although the Apostle Paul we're talking about, that he doesn't know. We don't know what it was. He said there's something in his flesh that it's like God wouldn't take it away, but that thing keeps me tethered to Jesus. So it's better, I think, at this point I've now realized that it's better that I do have, especially where I'm right now, it's better that I do have the struggle where I have to be on my P's and Q's, especially being tethered to God, because it keeps me close to Jesus. Like, I literally need him so that I don't fall back into my old ways, you know? And I think he has been doing really, really good in holding me in these past few seasons now, you know?
Well, I think that's beautiful, babe. I really do. Because I've been with you. So we've been together for like 5 years, and I've seen the progress. Even like before we were together, and I knew like you would like struggle with XYZ. Like, I've definitely seen not even just the progress in you not, struggling with it as much anymore, but it's the word we were talking about earlier. Your self-control, or like your willingness to like go so far left of something that's right. You're like, or so far right of something that's left. Like, he will do anything he can to make sure he doesn't fall into a certain thing. Like, there's a lot of times like this. I don't think this has anything to do with porn, but like when we go upstairs to go to bed, Jonathan will leave his phone downstairs just because, like, oh, when I wake up in the morning, I don't want the first thing I do to touch my phone, or the last thing I do at night to touch my phone. So like, my husband will go to certain measures, and obviously that's not the biggest measure in the world, but he will do things to help him get to where he needs to be that other people will be like, that's unnecessary. You don't have to do that. And you've always been that way, but like, I can see that you do what you have to do. You do the work to get results. And I admire that a lot, because like, my phone is on my nightstand nightly. So I admire you. I do.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone to think I'm saying to be legalistic.
No, you have to do what works for you. You know your strengths.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, it's like, what's gonna put me in the best position to succeed? And I think that we grow, especially with our proximity to Jesus. When we're closest to Jesus, that he's able to bring out the way that he's already made us. So it's like when he
Right.
says you are holy, you are loved, you're a child of God. These things about you are true.
Yeah.
Especially as a follower of Jesus. So those things about me were true even when I didn't believe them about myself. But the more I can be closer to Jesus, Jesus could start to bring those qualities out of me and
Right.
start to, the fancy word,
Hallelujah.
sanctify me. So it's like if you think of yourself as a marble, the statue of David is in there. God just has to chip away all the pieces that aren't him. So it's like putting yourself in the position to be whatever I can do to be closer to him so that he can change me. It's not me changing me by will or like by trying hard. It's like, what can I do to remove obstacles from me and Jesus being together? And sometimes it's going to take being uncomfortable. Or like things that other people are going to look at like, that's OD, bro. You're doing the most.
Right. Like, don't worry about what I got going on. It's not affecting you. It's
Yeah,
affecting me.
yeah, but it's like if I'm doing the most and like it helps me get, see Jesus more clearly, then you gotta do that.
Yeah.
And I think porn is just one of those things that really, really disrupts how you can see Jesus and disrupts your relationship with him. It's like an intimacy with God killer because it's just so opposite of everything that is God. Like if you think about sex as God intended it, it's for us, like us as a married couple who have decided to tie our lives together no matter what forever, and it's an outpouring of our love for one another. Porn is something that's oftentimes in these scenarios with random people, no tie together, all about self gratification. Especially when you talk about like porn and like masturbation, it's all about self gratification. Like how can I glorify myself and feel good within myself? And you talk about like in Romans 1 where he said God left them over to their own reprobate minds, and it's like everyone did what was right in their own sight. So it's the mindset that like instead of being others focused or like everything I'm doing is like love God, love people. It's like love me, love me.
Love me, love me, love me.
I deserve it all. Like it's like the video of LeBron like rapping "I deserve it all" is just so funny to me.
Period.
But
no, the opposite.
yeah, the opposite. It's like it's so me focused. I mean, I can ask you like, what do you think about people that say masturbation is cool just as long as you don't use
like other people?
Yeah,
other
people.
I'm thinking about my husband
or porn to do it.
Like I'm thinking about my wife when I do it, so it's okay. Well, I think that goes back to what you were saying, like sex in the confines of marriage. I am supposed to be pleasing you, and you're supposed to be pleasing me. It's not like where I'm in this by myself. So sex isn't supposed to be selfish. So even it's like, oh, but my husband's on my mind while I do this thing for me. Like you're not supposed to be having sex with yourself. Like that's just not what it's supposed to be. I'm sorry. So I mean, I know everyone has their different opinions on that. That's where I stand.
Yeah.
And that's what we stand in our marriage. Like, I just don't agree with it.
Yeah. There are other very smart, well-meaning believers who come on a different side of this than we do. So we're not saying that we're the definitive.
Right. Is it black and white in the Bible?
We're talking about masturbation? Not particularly. I mean, I guess if you're thinking about your spouse, like, that's in a gray area. I
tried to pull that one. I remember when I was in my my short stint of foolery, I would be in the middle of the night trying to see like what the Bible say about this. By the way, I'm like, well, I don't see anything for real, but there would be like footnotes or whatever, like what other people say, like this verse means that this, and this, and I'm like, but it didn't really say that black and white. So, and I feel like that's why some people can.
Yeah, some people believe other things, but from everything I understand about what the purpose of marriage is, like from doing research on that and looking into that and thinking about all the times it talks about marriage, it's so others focused, like, and it's about like showing love to the other. Yeah. Just no part of that to me personally.
Jonathan Wallace
personally says that masturbation is what God intended for us.
And you made a really good point the other day when we were talking a different conversation. It's like, oh yeah, what if, my spouse is away and they're like on the phone with me and I'm doing the blah, blah, blah. But you were like, what happens when that is not enough anymore? When like the feeling of you pleasing yourself is not enough. And then you're like, this isn't working anymore. Like it's not doing what it needs to do. And then you feel like, okay, maybe now you got to go like get a toy. And then that stops working. It's like, well, now like just really quick, no strings attached. Let me just go have sex with someone or whatever. Like after a while, it just may not seem like it's enough. And that's where self-control comes back in. She'll be back in 3 days, or is it 3 months? Like self-control is going to have to come in, or it's kind of like a fast where you feel like you have to die to your flesh and be like, God, I need you to help me. Yeah. It's like when you get hungry, usually food is what is going to satisfy you, but it's like, God, I'm starving, but I need you to quench this thirst or whatever and to help me get through it. So
yeah, I also think porn is where so much like sexual deviance comes from. Mm-hmm. Like we think about like all these young men that take advantage of young women. Like they grow up, whether they don't see it in the house or not. So many of them grow up seeing it in porn. Like, and I'm not saying that as someone that's like, that was always on the outside. Like I saw, I was the videos of like so many of those videos is men taking advantage of women and the woman being like, oh, I like this.
Yes.
Like changing their mind like to, oh, I like this. Mm-hmm. So if so many young men, and I'm not saying this is right at all. Well, I'm definitely saying it's wrong. I'm like, but I'm saying this is showing that it's wrong. Like showing that it's wrong. It's like if so many young men are watching this thing where men can take advantage of women and vice versa, women take advantage of men. And then after a while, they're like, oh, no, this is good. I'm glad this is happening. They're going to try to play it out in real life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason that like we have so much sexual perversion in our world, because we see it play out.
Right. And you're trying to repeat those things. And it's like, whoa, this is not a movie. Like, this is real life. I'll cut you. So.
Yeah, no means no.
Yeah. Every time.
Every time.
Yeah. I think that was a good conversation. I hope it opened someone's eyes. And obviously, it's just like, this is not like a throwing stones because we feel like we've conquered this and we've moved on.
Not one bit.
Yeah. So it's it's like you said, it's an ongoing, like you don't know if it's the final nail. Like we pray that it is, but like you have to just stay plugged into God so that, you can keep that coffin closed. Once you start feeling like you got it, like there's been plenty of times while we were dating where like, oh, we used to have a rule, like you can't come to my apartment or whatever.
Yep.
And then there'll be like a time where he'll maybe drop off something and come in for a few minutes and like, nothing happened. The next day, like, oh, you come over, nothing. And 4 days go by, well, nothing, we're good. Just come over, watch a movie. You think you got it, you don't. In your own strength.
I feel like the devil sometimes lets you.
He loves that. He's like, he lets you
get away with it a few times so that you drop your defenses.
Yes.
And then hit you with it because. It's like the road to being further away from Jesus always happens with slow compromises. Mm-hmm. A bunch of slow compromises that when you look back, you're like,
how did I get here?
How I get right here? Like,
yeah.
I think it's so real. Like, how did I get here? Yeah. And I think the weight against that now, even if you are in a place of experiencing victory over whatever your stronghold is like really going to God when you have your moments with Him and saying, hey, what are the things in me that don't look like you? Mm-hmm. Anything in me that can lead me to somewhere where I'm sinning against you for real. Yeah. And I think sometimes for me, it's like, on your Instagram, you lingered a little too long on some photos. Mm-hmm. So you didn't do anything, but you lingered a little bit. Yeah. You went back to a page you probably shouldn't have went to. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wrap that up.
Got it, yeah.
Wrap that up. Yeah. And it's like, or you're watching a show, it's like, you're not supposed to be watching, you're not supposed to be watching that, right. At least that part of that show.
That scene it's starting up something in your spirit.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
But unless you're plugged in, it's that slow drift. Mm-hmm. It's always a slow drift.
The feeling of the voice gets quieter, or you just get better at ignoring, like, I know.
Slow drift.
Yeah. So stay plugged in, pretty much. Stay charged up. Your phone gonna die if you don't plug it in. Whew. Hello?
That's good. No, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Hey, man, All right. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't.
No? Well, this is fun. I'm glad we're back.
We back!
And one thing about the Between the Walls podcast, we always start off with something heavy.
Yo, we gotta hit you with it.
Yeah.
Hit you with the blick.
It's like I was listening to Pastor Anthony Phillips.
Philip
Philip
Anthony.
Anthony. He's like, bro, I don't care, bro. Like I don't care. You gonna get this heaviness every time. I'm like,
Dude, we were talking about fasting earlier this episode, but like, bro, when we were listening to the one on the fasting, he goes, "That social media fast, that's a soft fast.
yeah. I'm like, and he hit me in the head like 15
Yo,
times.
soft American fast."
Yeah. Americans are pretty soft when it comes
Nah,
to
dude,
Christianity.
nah. Like,
Everyone else is doing
bro,
it way harder than we are.
We have soft Christian.
Or cotton
Christianity for
candy.
real.
We're in
Cotton candy.
Disneyland over here.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that's goofy.
Ahoy.
Okay. All right. We love you guys so much.
Yup. All right.
Thank you. We're going to end it.
Yeah, I said all right.
Oh, look, you're about to get up.
No, I'm just sitting up.
Okay, sure. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the Between the Walls podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe,
And share with a friend.
share it with a friend. We'll see you guys again next week. And on Tuesdays, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Maybe we'll go live soon. All right, bye.
Bye, guys.